Triangulation Mapping with the Wild Abundance PDC and Natalie Bogwalker.
To be experimenting with not only triangulation, but also logic and spatial awareness skills. Because do you think like it makes sense to triangulate every corner of each of those garden beds to place them on a map? No. What I would do is I would triangulate one corner of every fourth bed. And then I would measure the beds. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you're doing triangulation, you're going to start with a couple of base points. Let's say I want to figure out where the dehydrator shed is. And I have a couple of points. I have the point where that bridge is. I have the southeast corner of the bridge. It's really important to be precise like that. So I know the southeast corner bridge, and I might even call it the south bridge because we have 3 bridges. And then I also know the marking pine tree. Which is the marking pine tree a very good point to start with?
Well, if you could elaborate, a tree not in general, but your tree is
remember
specific.
how I said on this map, there was so little to work with that I had to work with this pine tree.
Okay. Yeah.
And so on your base map, you would actually write out marking pine tree. Right here. Does that make sense? And you'd probably put an orange flag around it that said marking pine tree, just to be really, really clear. So let's say that those are my starting points. Does that make sense? My reference points. So the point that I'm trying to find, this one point, is probably the southeast corner of dehydrator shed. What else might I want to locate?
You
What's
want
another
to give you
element?
more elements?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have the shed, why not this kitchen area?
This kitchen. So, do you notice how this deck is very weird? Do you know it's shaped like a turkey wing?
No way.
I bet you never get that. Okay, so we have the kitchen deck, and then we have the kitchen. So I kind of think that post right there is a much easier point to locate than points on this deck. Do y'all agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So let's say southeast corner kitchen. Okay, what else?
Do you want something smaller like the shower or the shed, or do you want something larger like the kitchen? I mean, your home.
Let's talk about the cabin. So do you think that if I have those 2 points as reference points and then I have the telephone pole as a reference point, do you think I want to use these 2 as my reference for the cabin?
Not the cabin, but maybe the tree. You wouldn't necessarily...
I'm going to try. So when you're choosing reference points, there's different things involved. So like, let's say I have this reference point is the tree, and this reference point is the bridge. So what I'm doing is I'm taking measurements, and then I take, does someone bring their cool long ruler compass dealy-opper? Did someone get the
Ah,
yes.
look.
Yes.
Wow.
She's
Where
on.
did you
And
get
could I see your ruler as well?
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
Take off these. No way.
Way.
I spent $40 on mine. It does not. But that doesn't matter. Okay, so the way this thing works, you guys all got one of these, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the engineer scale, it's really important that you have an engineer scale, not an architect scale. So with the engineer scale, there's different numbers, like this one says 10. So what that means is this is a scale for 1 inch equals 10 feet. And that's what we're going to be using with this map. So if I measure between the southeast corner of the dehydrator shed and the southeast corner of the bridge, and let's say that that is 125 feet. And then I measure between the southeast corner of the dehydrator shed and the marking pine tree, and that is 150 feet. Then, let's see here. I'm going to use the 1 inch equals 10 part of this, and 125 feet is actually going to be, that might be a little long for this. Let's say this is 80 feet, and this is 50 feet. So 50 feet is going to be right here, 5. That is 50. And each of these little dashes indicates 1 foot. Does that make sense to you? So do you guys see why a little compass, normal compass, doesn't work?
Apply to your sheet of paper or whatever.
Okay, so this is the pine tree. And so I know that my southeast corner of the dehydrator shed, this is going to work better with the actual pencil and not trying to. Okay. So I know that it's somewhere in that arc. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then I know that it is 80 feet from the southeast corner of the bridge. So then I take this, and I need to make sure I'm at which part of this ruler?
1 to 10.
1 to 10, which is right here. So I take this, and I move this. So then I make this arc here. See that arc? And that is from my marking, or excuse me, my southeast corner bridge point. You guys see that? Mm-hmm. And so do you see how these two arcs intersect actually in 2 places? You are going to have to use your powers of logic to figure out which place it actually is. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I think that you guys have such powers. And in this situation, it's going to be here. So then there, on your map, you can write in, yay, southeast corner, dehydrator shed.
And then you just sketch it in.
Yeah, and then you're going to measure the sides. And this is going to be probably not of the roof, but probably of the posts. You had the pine tree, you had the southeast corner south bridge, you had the telephone pole, and you had, let's just say you had the cabin. I think I'm going to give you a little bit more reference. So let's say you had the southeast corner cabin. So these are the reference points that you had. If you were going to locate something right here, say you were going to locate that autumn olive, that big autumn olive bush, what do you want to use as references? These are the 2 closest ones. So do you want to use those as references? It won't work because your 2 arcs are going to be like this. Does that make sense? So when you're in a line, when you're doing when you're locating something, you don't want it to be in a line with your reference points. Does that make sense to everybody? So you would choose this point probably and this point to be your reference points. So when you're actually doing this exercise, what I want you to do, well, is first draw yourself out a little map like that that's just a sketch. That shows your reference points and then shows the places that you want to plot. And by looking at that, you can decide which reference points you want to use for which elements. Does that make sense to everybody? And so when you go to actually take the measurements, you're going to make yourself a grid. And you're going to have your reference points up top, and you'll probably have like 4 or something. And so we have the telephone pole. And then we have southeast corner. Wouldn't it be great if you could actually read my handwriting? And then you're going to write in all the things that you're going to want to find. Like you're going to want to find the southeast corner shitter. You're going to want to find, what else might you want to find?
The shower?
Yeah. And are you just going to want to write in shower? Or maybe southeast corner shower? You know, you want to be really precise. What do you do for a living, David? I can't remember.
Me?
Yeah.
I work for TVA, load dispatch.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you did like drafting or something.
No.
I don't know why I had that in my head. And then, what else? There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say the east end point of leaf garden. What about the northmost espaliered peach? What about the southmost espaliered? You guys know that's that arc over there. Tree. I don't know what it is. I think it's a pear. Okay, so you're going to mark all these down, and then you're going to look at your little sketch, and you're going to circle which reference points you're going to want. And you need 2. Do you need 3 for each one? No. That's a lot of extra work. So for this one, it might be this one and this one. And what's going to determine which reference points you're using?
If it's on a linear line, you kind of want to avoid it.
Yeah, you don't want to use it if you have 3 points that are in a line ish. Also, do you think you want to use the telephone pole down there as a reference point for the espaliered fruit trees over here? No. Why?
No, too far.
It's far. We have 300-foot tape measures, but still, that's a pain in the butt. I think that I'm gonna alter things just a little bit so that we're not having to do such huge distances. Does that sound good? Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna concentrate a little bit closer. And so different people are gonna do different sections. And you're gonna work with your design team because I think that will be fun.
Yeah.
And so can you guys sit in your design teams and then I'll assign you to different areas?
So, to sum up, we're going to end up with a chart of relational
You're gonna have a chart
information.
and you're gonna figure out how much time you have, and you're gonna spend half of the time taking measurements, and you're gonna spend the other half of the time plotting out points on a map. Does that make sense to you? But you're going to measure one measurement and plot that one out before you take any more measurements, so that you know if you are forgetting to do something. This video was made by Wild Abundance, where we teach skills for self-sufficiency,
like homesteading, permaculture, woodcraft, wild foods, and tiny house and natural building, all in the beautiful mountains around Asheville, North Carolina. Check out wildabundance.net to learn more about our classes and consultations.